And now a gentleman who stood here almost 4 years ago with us with probably a bigger vision than all of us, and we poked and prodded and called and emailed throughout this entire process, sometimes daily, Mr. Patt Schiewitz.
Well, Lance told me I could speak as long as I wanted to, provided that I didn't outspeak Joe. So, I guess that gives me about 45 minutes to talk.
Joe was 6.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
He wasn't 6. Yeah, never mind. Well, I am real excited about this statue, or whatever we're going to call tombstone, probably shouldn't say, of ex-pastor, Mayor Joe Hermes. Do you know that this is the first time I've ever seen anyone Photoshop bronze? Because this picture looks better than Joe ever has. It is beautiful. And if y'all haven't seen it, you need to come see it before you leave. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all you guys for coming out to see my family, which I'm sure that's why most of you came. My wife Carol here, my daughter Kristen and Kim, and my beautiful grandkids, Odie and Shay. And I don't know where Miles is. He's probably back there eating something. Okay, there's Miles. Well, thank you. And the award for the farthest traveled people that came here today are Bob and Heidi Gagnon from Illinois. And they only had a notice of like Tuesday of this week. But on behalf of the sponsors of this project, we are delighted to donate it to the city of Edna. I think it's well deserved to the city. We're very proud to do it. The only stipulation is if you get another mayor, or if Joe decides to come back on the scene and doesn't want it, we'll take it back. And besides that, I want to clarify, this sculpture is not 6.5 tons. I've seen it referred to as 5 tons, 6 tons, 39 feet. It is 16 feet sitting on a plaque or a big chunk of concrete that's probably almost 5 feet. So you do the math. That's how tall the whole thing is. We would like to thank Addison Malik. I don't know where she went, but who would have known that this woman had such a beautiful voice? Oh my gosh, she has a wonderful voice, and who would have known that Burr Stafford is related to her? When I heard that, I thought, I'm not so sure, because I've heard Burr sing. But anyway, beautiful voice, thank you. I would also like to thank, again, Douglas Clark, our sculpturist, if that's a word. It's not a word, or whatever. He's the one that did this beautiful sculpture. And, it took a while to get it, but it is there, and it's spectacular. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you for overcoming the several setbacks that you and I had along the way. We'd also like to thank the Edna High School band director, Russell Belusic, and the band. And band members, you should know that y'all have a coupon for lunch at the Whataburger. So if it doesn't trickle down to you, let me know. A huge thanks to Preston Atkinson, Whataburger, the Dobson family, and Vidal Garcia for coming out here and representing the group. This is a wonderful, wonderful place. It's a wonderful site for this sculpture. And if I refer to it as a statue at some point during the day, please forgive me, because you can't remember everything. I'd like to thank Joe Hermes, Lance Smiga, and Gary Brose. They did a wonderful job of making this happen. Gary, I would like to especially thank you because, oh my gosh, you look like you're 25, but I know this took at least 10 years off your life. This was a real effort, and if you really want to know the intricacies and the masterfulness of a city manager, have him explain the last 3 days. It was the trail from hell. But I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it is how this statue is up right now is a miracle.
Amen.
It is. Absolutely it is. Sorry, Pastor, I didn't mean to say road from hell. I'd also like to thank the City Council for agreeing to allow this sculpture to come to Edna, because something of this size and mass doesn't just appear. It's got to have a lot of approvals and so forth, and the city was behind it all the way. Or at least that's the story I got. And Maxie Lou, thank you for traveling. Stand up, Maxie Lou. You guys have to understand, Douglas has a following. She's his largest groupie. She's been tracking him, I think, because of trying to keep him in line for years. I'm not going to tell you how many years, but it's been a task. Becky Mishka, thank you very much for handling all the twists and turns of this event, this project. She's probably laying out in the grass somewhere, still panting. There she is back there. She did a wonderful job trying to keep everybody on task. She is a real warrior. Thank you. And by the way, I meant to mention that Gary Brose worked so hard on this project, he probably deserves a raise. Now, he didn't ask me to say that, but, you know, it is what it is. Thank you to our sponsors for the Cowboy Pride. The Edna High School class of 1968 is excited to be a part of this group. The Dobson family, Whataburger, Preston Atkinson, the Floyd and Brody Schiewitz Foundation, Dr. and Mrs. C.M. Duggar, Douglas N. Clark, and the City of Edna. Now, I know you've heard that, but those people, whether they're still here or not, they would have wanted to still be here. And I would tell you, I would still want them to be here, because they would probably be telling me what I'm doing wrong and how long I'm speaking. Cowboy Pride. How did this get started, and how did we create this thing? Well, 3 years ago, plus, Mayor Joe Hermes and I met for barbecue in Luling, of all places. And we were talking about things we could do to enhance the city that we all know and love. There are many, many things going on here in Edna that are just so prideful. And we're still very proud of all the things here. But we were talking about what are some of the things we could do to make this an even better city. Now, I will admit that Joe choked on probably my first 4 ideas. The barbecue wasn't that bad. But nonetheless, he did like the sculpture idea. And with that, that was kind of our first hurdle. Our second hurdle is, I kind of thought that Joe would be the sculpturist. He didn't volunteer for that at all. So we had to look around and see who it was that we could rope into doing the sculpture. Well, lo and behold, we have a world-class artist and sculpturist, whom you've now met several times, Douglas Clark, in the class of 1968. And he's down near Mexico now. I'm not really sure what the FBI thinks about him, but that's where he is, down near the border. And he just did a masterful job on this sculpture. He agreed to do it right off the bat. And following this, we decided, where should we put the sculpture? And Mayor Joe and I stood over there, and he said, well, let's put it behind this wall over here. And I said, well, Joe, if you put it behind the wall, nobody's going to see it. I think that was his point at that point, but I'm not really sure. He said, oh, no, we can build a stand. I said, well, Joe, that stand would have to be 25 feet tall just to start the process. Nobody could see it. So then we said, we're standing in the McDonald's parking lot. I hope I didn't say that too loud. And we said, well, we could probably put it over here. And Joe gets all excited, and he says, you know, I got a better idea. Why don't we ask Whataburger if we can use part of their land, because their land's right across the street. Now, if y'all remember 4 years ago, this place didn't look like it does today. And I said, Whataburger owns that? He says, yeah, they own a big chunk of land over there. They may have grand prospects for it, but this little sliver of land is perfect. So he called Preston Atkinson, and lo and behold, he's all in, right off the bat. So within weeks, Douglas, a representative from Whataburger, Mayor Joe, Gary, several city workers, and I met on this very site. There was a telephone post about 1910, and the telephone post was not necessarily going to add much to the beauty of the sculpture here. So he says, oh, no, that's not a problem. We can move it. Not a problem. So there we were, off to a walking start. We were just blowing and going. Had this great idea. Well, as we're going along, the project was starting to gather steam, and then Joe decides to step down as mayor. How could you, Joe? And I'm sitting there thinking, you got to be kidding me. I got a 2.5-ton sculpture out here being made, and I don't know the new mayor. But I got to tell you, the guy that y'all found to replace Joe is a lifesaver. Lance is a warrior. He is, man, you will find no moss under that stone, I can tell you that. He was the right guy at the right time. And he was a tremendous supporter through City Hall, through everything, to get us to this point. And through 3 significant health issues, Douglas and myself, Cowboy Pride is finally done, and here it is, and I believe it was worth the wait. I'm almost done, so if anybody needs to run, there's a porta potty around here somewhere, but I can't find it. But where did the name Cowboy Pride come from? Well, in 1968, that was our class's senior year, and Mr. John Summers was our principal at the high school, and he had been the band director. Terrific guy. He said to me, why doesn't your class do something that people will take pride in and will remember for years to come? That was great inspiration, Mr. Summers. Thank you for giving us that idea. Now, we may be a little slow on the uptake because it took us a few years to get it done. But as George Bush would say, we got her done. And as Paul Harvey would say, and now you know the rest of the story. Thank you to John Summers. and for the moment y'all all probably thought would never come. I'd like to finish with this. Following the ceremony today, we'd like to invite all of those who RSVP'd to the city, to me, to Johnny Duggar, or to anyone, including your dog, if you RSVP'd saying, yes, I'll be at lunch. We're inviting you to lunch at the high school. Now, there's some confusion. It is catered by the Silo Baptist Church, but they're going to cater at the high school. So if you go to the Silo Baptist Church, you're welcome to go hang out in the parking lot, but there won't be anybody there. So we'll go to the high school, and Johnny Duggar, Fred Westhoff, and I will host you for lunch. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. And the only thing I can say is, Edna, stay tuned. We may not be done.